I'm always uncomfortable with awards because I feel like I'm still starting the work that God would have me to do on this earth. And so tonight I'm overwhelmed, I'm extremely tired, but this is special.
Yes.
It's special because it wasn't just an ordinary presentation. To first hear from the man who became like a surrogate father to me and my siblings after the assassination of my father, along with my Uncle A.D., but then certainly after Uncle A.D. Was found mysteriously in his pool. Uncle Andy was always there.
Always.
He made it his business to show up and check on us as children, and he had his own children.
Yes, sir.
And I'm always deeply grateful for everything that he has been and represented in our lives, and he continues to be supportive, even at the age that he is. And so thank you, Scarlett, for asking him to do that. And I'm gonna give him a call. And you know, Uncle Andy and I have had, tough little moments from time to time, because I am a little stubborn. But more importantly, I have a tendency to stick to what I believe in my heart and spirit is right. And sometimes that's not fully understood by all people.
Right.
But as my father, I've learned that it's more important to be true to your own conscience.
That's right.
Than it is necessarily to try to be liked and loved by everybody and make sure that everybody's comfortable. Sometimes you do have to make people a little bit uncomfortable, even as you make yourself uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable making people uncomfortable. But then to have Jennifer Holliday here tonight, she has blessed me in so many ways through the gift that God has given her. She literally is not just a songstress, she's an instrument. Her voice is an instrument.
Yes.
There are very few voices in our world who are like instruments when they sing. And she is one of those. And so when she sang that song, I told her when she came over to embrace me that it is a staple in my life. Because at the end of the day, for all of us, we serve a God who's a jealous God.
Right.
And he wants us to know and understand that he is with us in and through everything that we go through. And he is to be our foundation.
That's it.
He literally, for me, has been my sanity.
All right.
And yes, I have friends, I obviously have loved ones, but there are those moments when no matter how much people know you, nobody knows you like God knows you.
Hey.
And only God understands how much you can bear.
Yeah.
Only God understands how to get you through certain things. He knows how to orchestrate what man could never orchestrate.
Right.
He's a master orchestrator, in fact. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And he orchestrated this entire movement that we have been a part of. I mean, who else would bring together three men who didn't know each other, who married three women, two of whom knew each other, but there was an age gap in marriage. And I'm speaking of Andrew Young and Jean Young, Charles Young. from Marion, Alabama, Perry County, Alabama. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King from Heiberger, Perry County, Alabama. And Juanita Jones Abernathy and Ralph Abernathy, Juanita Jones Abernathy, Perry County, Alabama. Only God could have orchestrated that. And so tonight, even though Scarlett thought she did this, God did this. God did this. Because I'm going to tell you something. I've been working on a lot of different programs, events, and efforts. Yes. And something I said, I think it's 8 years ago now, speaking to a group of women entrepreneurs and business leaders, that I have literally seen God just unfolding over and over again and ushering people into certain strategic places. And that is, you know, many times we talk about, and I said this to that audience, we talk about this is the year of the woman, this is the decade of the woman. But as I was standing before that group, the Holy Spirit said to say to that audience, this is the century of the woman. And literally, I have seen God orchestrating and bringing into strategic positions of leadership women. And tonight, that's no accident that these daughters of the movement were here to give tribute to me. I am honored that they took the time out and did not think it robbery to spend this moment tonight saluting me. I'm younger than they are. So it's like, why would they? I need to be honoring them because they went before me. They know things and experience things that I never experienced. And so I want to thank each one of you from the bottom of my heart, Elizabeth, Yvonne, and Andrea, for taking this moment, saluting me, celebrating me. It gives me strength. It's an encouragement. And I know that even though we don't always get to see each other the way we probably should, that we are in spirit with each other. But I also want to say this publicly. We do need to connect more. The movement children do need to get together. There's some healing that needs to take place. That was a very traumatic movement. And, you know, as we think about my father's assassination and all that's going on in our nation now, we just keep moving when the trauma happens. All right. And we need some moments to get together in quiet spaces and safe spaces where we love each other, love on each other, be able to release some of the things because we know and have a story that's kindred that other people would never understand. And so we need each other. I need you. That song says you need me. We're all a part of God's family. And so I hope that we can work this out because we keep missing each other over and over again. And it's something that I've been feeling in my heart. And so I wanted to share that. And so let's figure it out. Please, ma'am. Let me just say this additionally. It's always difficult coming to this day because everybody lost a leader. So we lost a dad. And I was just at the point of knowing my father. And then he was suddenly taken away. And so there's a lot of emotion that goes into this time, more so than obviously in January. And especially this time, going back to Memphis. On Monday, I went there with a contingency of pastors from the Atlanta area, black and white pastors that I've been working with the Better Together initiative around race relations and really trying to break down some of these walls that even separates church leaders. And we intentionally reach to pastors.
Right.
Because they are the leaders and they're going to have to begin to direct some of what needs to happen in this nation.
Amen.
Because that movement was a spiritual movement. It came out of the church.
That's right. Right.
So we got to break down some of these barriers and separations in the church. And so they've been in small groups, really going in on this issue of racial tension and white privilege.
Amen.
And having real conversations. And it's not easy.
No.
But they have dared to engage in it. And many of them came on this journey with us, and I thank Delta for providing a charter plane for us to do this, to go to Memphis. And it was interesting because on Tuesday night, I was at Claiborne Temple, the place where the sanitation workers gathered on several occasions as they were preparing for their marches, their demonstrations, and their boycott. And as I sat there, I said, wow, the pastors that came with me from Atlanta were joined by pastors from Memphis.
Okay.
And it was an amazing feeling because in my father's last years,
Listen.
a lot of churches closed their doors
Show it.
to him because he had started to really identify the connectedness with poverty, racism, and militarism. And when he spoke out against the Vietnam War, tied economics to it, and talked about the immorality of the war, people, even in the civil rights community, turned away from him.
You're right.
And so while the early days of the movement, there were some churches that opened their doors, it narrowed. And so to be there with close to maybe 100 pastors was phenomenal to me 50 years later.
Yeah.
But because they were pastors from the place where Martin Luther King Jr. was born and the place where Martin Luther King Jr. left this earth,
Right.
I think something spiritual
Yeah.
happened that night.
Talk.
And to be in Claiborne Temple in its deteriorating state, they had to feel a part of that.
Okay.
Because in order for us to move forward,
That's it.
we got to go back and reconnect with the spirit and the heart of this movement that our parents led. There is a disconnect today. I know we talk about movement a lot, all these different movements. But I'm going to say this before this audience. The reason the civil rights movement was a success is because it was grounded spiritually.
Talk.
I'll say that again. The reason that movement was a success is because it was grounded spiritually.
I believe it.
It included, because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, what we have done in the name of including everyone at the table, we have excluded God,
All right now.
who created all of us in our diversity.
Say that.
And so in order for us to really move forward, we got to reconnect with that spiritual foundation. Now, for my father, it came out of his Christian faith.
That's it.
but he was able to transcend his Christian faith in a way that other religions could identify with what he was doing, because he was brilliant enough to see the connections between religions. And so he liberated people in that movement religiously, and that's why we had people from the Jewish community. I dare to say there probably were just a smidgen, maybe even from the Islamic community that wanted to be there. Yeah, probably that too. Jehovah's Witness, Buddhist. Because you all know what? We are spiritual beings. At the end of the day, having these vast human experiences. And as he said, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, and what affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can't be all that I ought to be until you are all that you ought to be, and you can't be all that you ought to be until I am all that I ought to be. Whether you like me or not is not the point. We are part of God's human family and creation, and we have to find and learn, as he said, to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will be forced.
That's it.
That's the key word, forced to perish as fools. And so I hope that this is not just another commemoration. We do so many commemorations, remembrances, anniversaries. I'm almost ready to do a boycott on anniversaries. Because nothing happens after that. We will come together collectively, but then we dispatch and disperse in all of our different corners in our different worlds and go back to our business as usual. And the world is crying out. When our children are rising up, starting with Black Lives Matter to now March for Our Lives, it's time for us to pay attention and make some shifts and adjustments. And it's not going to be easy. But they had to make shifts and adjustments in the 50s and 60s. It wasn't easy for people to put guns down when they're getting their heads beat. It wasn't easy for people sitting at lunch counters getting spat upon and being able to sit there with dignity and resist with nonviolence. It was not easy going out into the streets and facing dogs and water hoses and billy clubs. But they did it in the Spirit of God, and they did it because they understood that they needed to sacrifice not just for them, but for their children and their children's children. And so if it meant that I had to get a little uncomfortable and lose my job or lose an opportunity to finish my 4 years of college, so be it. Because I am on an assignment. This is not about us, you all. Everybody in this room has a purpose. You were born to answer a question, and you were born to solve a problem. And if you're still here, that means you must not have answered the question nor solved the problem. So what do I need to do to shift, to change, to get a little uncomfortable? Don't let God force us.
Amen. You're right. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Woe unto us
That's right.
if we miss this reckoning moment.
God said.
We're at a very critical moment in this nation. Everybody's scratching their head, trying to figure out how we, in some respects, people feel like, how do we get bamboozled into a president like Trump? But we got there because we were too comfortable and complacent and indifferent and thought we had arrived at a certain place. And we took some things for granted because many people just knew that Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in. And that was a mistake. And many people knew that she was such a shoo-in that we didn't think about what is our strategy in case Trump gets in. And now we got what we got.
Oh, God. Touch it.
But it's not as bad as you think it is, because had he not been in, I really don't think we would see the mobilization of women at the level that we have seen.
All right, all right.
It took something to nudge us and wake us and shake us and bake us and cause us to rise up in record numbers like never before. For these young people to be galvanized. Yes, some of that started under President Obama with Black Lives Matter.
Sure, you're right.
But this moment has been coming. All God knew it didn't catch him by surprise. It caught us by surprise.
Yes.
And yes, we have to vote.
Got it.
Yes.
We got to educate ourselves. We got to register more people. But after we do all of that,
Okay.
we still have to understand one fundamental thing.
Yes.
And that is that change only comes when you're resolute and vigilant. You can't vote and then lay back.
Right. Can't do it. Cannot.
You can't show up at a protest
Uh-huh.
and then lay back.
All right.
You can't just tweet out and lay back.
Say it, right.
There has to be a vigilant spirit.
Yeah.
There has to be a strategy
Yes.
and planning, and there has to be focus on the issue by issue.
Yes.
If they had tried to, our parents had tried to take on everything at one time,
Listen.
we would still be back in days of segregation.
Listen. I believe it.
These were some brilliant men, and I don't want you to ever forget that. And so tonight, as I accept and receive this award, I thank you for it, but I accepted and received it for every man, woman, boy, and girl that made a sacrifice
Yeah. Yeah.
during that time period for all of us. And I accept it for every young person today
That's right. Me too.
that is putting their life on the line for freedom and justice and equity.
That's it.
Don't believe, young people, millennials, that there was one leader in that movement.
No. Say it.
When they say we are decentralized, everybody's a leader. That's almost an insult to their fathers.
That's true.
To think that their fathers weren't leaders in that movement.
Amen.
They're carrying legacies today
You're right.
because their fathers were leaders and are leaders. And so this is a collective effort, and we've always operated that way.
Always.
It's just, and Dr. King knew the strengths. He knew how to position certain ones. He knew what he had, and he knew who to send there. He knew when it was not for him to go and for somebody else to go.
Right.
Because everybody has a different area of influence and giftedness. And it's the same thing today. And everybody doesn't necessarily belong on the front line protesting.
That's true. That's true.
You need researchers, you need educators, you need spokespersons so that the issues can be clear. And when you don't have spokespersons, then people begin to muddy your message, especially in this viral climate. And so I'm going to leave because I said I was tired and I'm going on and on and on and on. And what's the point?
You're doing
The
good.
point is that I hope when you leave here tonight, God troubles your soul and spirit.
Amen. I believe it. I believe it.
Because